Aliou Cissé, and it's now time for your weekly State of Affairs program. Well, last week, the National Assembly of the Gambia passed the former President's Bill 2023, replacing the former President's Act 2006, of course, despite opposition lawmakers, including the United Democratic Party, PDOIS, and an independent candidate boycotting the debate of this bill during the recent extraordinary session convened by the National Assembly. Well, the bill was tabled by the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Dawda A. Jallow, which was passed, like I said, by the Parliament despite the boycott. And joining me this week to discuss this bill, I have in the studio Honorable Bilaji Tunkara, who is the National Assembly member for Kantora constituency and Majority Leader. Honorable, good to have you in the program.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here.
I also have Mar Nyang, who is the Executive Director and founder of Gambia Participates, a civil society organization. Mar, good to have you in the program.
Looking forward to the discussion.
Yeah, and also Honorable Madi Sise, National Assembly member for Serekunda, and of course from the United Democratic Party. Honorable, good to have you in the program.
It's my pleasure having me.
Okay, good. I'll start with you, Bile. Like I said, the bill, it was boycotted by the UDP, PDOIS, and Independent because they questioned the urgency of this bill, which was tabled by the Attorney General, under a certificate of urgency. And then on your side, you supported the bill, you welcome it as historic. Why do you think this bill is timely?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Aliou Cissé, for that wonderful question. If I can recall, you are asking me my position of supporting the bill on the certificate of urgency and justify why the urgency about the bill. First of all, I want you to understand that procedurally, there is nothing wrong to introduce a bill to Parliament on the certificate of urgency. And there are two ways of bringing bills to Parliament. You can introduce a bill to Parliament through a normal session. The law also gives the executive, at any time, the president can invoke constitutional provision to sign a certificate of urgency for Parliament to convey, but subjected to the approval of the National Assembly. So whether it's important or it's not urgent, let's leave that one to Parliament to decide. And Parliament has decided that it's urgent and it needs our attention. Yes.
And let me now bring in Honorable Madi here. You boycotted this session. Why?
Thank you very much. Before I get to the boycott, we started it with voting against the urgency. On our side, we have not seen any urgency in the matter. This is for the former president's bill. And as we speak now, we have only one former president. And already the minister had made it very clear that until he resolves the conflict with him and the law, he cannot benefit from this. Why is it urgent? And we must also remember that every session goes with a cost. A session of the National Assembly costs taxpayers $1.450 million. That is $1,450,000 minimum cost. And in the next in the next week, we are going again for an ordinary session. That also is going to cost the taxpayers another $1.450 million. So there is no urgency to spend all this money on a bill whose beneficiary is still in office, not yet out of office. He has 2-3 years to go. So there is no urgency. That was the first objection we did, voted against the urgency so that it should not come. Let it come as a normal way. The masses will have their input in the bill. That's one reason. And the reason why we boycotted to continue the debate, this extraordinary session has 4 bills before us. So the first 2 bills that came, we tried it. We voted against the urgency. But we said, okay, let's go into the debate and to the committee of the whole House. Then we can have our input in the bill. That was a terrible experience for us. Anything we bring, the majority and their allies will vote against it. And this is not calling for any specific majority. It's just simple majority.
So he was using his number against you.
It's a simple majority thing. At the on the minutes of the whole house, you're just looking at clauses. You don't need a specific majority, only simple majority. And if you look at their side, there are 18 already, plus the 5 nominated, the allies, and APRC and the NRP, and some independents. So we feel if we go to that stage again, the same thing will happen. So therefore, there is no need for us to be part of it. That's the reason of the walkout.
But do you think you have achieved the purpose for working out? The bill has been passed now.
Working out does not, we do not have this objection or intention that if we walk out, the bill would not pass. No. Working out of chambers is parliamentary. You display your position. That's all. We are not in any way trying to, we can't stop it. If we had the muscles to stop it, we will stop it. And that is at the voting. Like you rightly say, bills can come as on the certificate of urgency or otherwise. For the urgency, it's for members to decide and agree, yeah, this is really urgent. And we have voted against that.
And let me now bring in Mar Nyang, who is independent of all these things because he's coming from the civil society. I mean, Mar, for the first time, I've been covering Parliament for many years. I mean, for the first time, I see National Assembly working out of the chamber. I mean, in the previous sessions, they would rather stay away from the whole system, but they came in Parliament and walk out. From all these things, what's your take? What's your position on this former president's bill and what transpired in Parliament on that day?
First, I guess this is also not the first time that they're working out of Parliament. Remember, there are certain parliamentarians, when certain bills are put into question for voting, when they don't want to vote, they walk out. We see the women's bill. Some of them deliberately...
But not as visible as we saw in this case. Not as visible as
those are indirect, but politically, you know, it's a political tactic to stay away from discussing that particular bill. But, I mean, to go back to your question in terms of the urgency, I don't know whether it is urgent or not. For me, the most important thing is the content of the bill. And I guess parliamentarians will be able to look at the content of the bill and, you know, do what we call parliamentary diplomacy. Even if they disagree with the certain, you know, provisions in the bill, they can actually lobby with the ruling party, right? Discuss and then see whether they could come to terms. Because at the end of the day, this bill will benefit the current president. If we have another president from another party, when the person goes out of office, it will also benefit. So for me, I guess the most important thing is looking at the content of the bill. And I guess also the Ministry of Justice was trying to take advantage of the reparations bill because that was more urgent. So because they are funding this particular session, and like Honorable said, having that $1.4 million has been expended for that particular session. So instead of getting the reparation bill, I think cost-wise is also justifiable. Before you get one particular bill, that is the reparation bill, you put it in the question and the parliamentarians voted for it. Because you remember, since the TRRC ended their, report drafting and the government submitted their white paper, until today, reparations are on a standstill, and that's the reason why like I said, from my own personal analysis, I guess the reparation bill, though the victims bill was more urgent than the others, and the Ministry of Justice took that advantage to plug in those other bills to make sure that they actually discuss it. But to go back to your question, for me, the most important thing was for the parliamentarian to sit and look at it and see it as a general interest beyond the bill. The bill should be looked at beyond President Barrow. It should be looked at, as a former president bill could benefit the API, the NPP today. Tomorrow it could benefit the UDP. We don't know who's going to be the next president. And I guess there are so many things that I agree with the bill and things that I have reservations for the bill. So I guess that's what will have happen.
Yeah, okay. I want to have a bite on that.
I'll come to reservations.
Yes.
Just on the
yes, I want to have a bite on what he just said about walking out. You see, parliamentary procedures, of course, parliamentary norms and tradition, of course, you can see that when a bill is before Parliament, it is natural that you cannot be on the same wavelength. And it's also natural that you cannot be on the same side. But as opposition, you have the reserve right and the latitude to come and listen and contribute to the debate. Probably, even if you cannot really redirect the business, or you cannot really amend the business, it is onus on you to sit down, listen to the argument, give a counter argument, make your position clear to general public. This is our reservation here and there. In that debate, it's very likely you might convince the other side. The same goes on. The majority might have their way, but the minority also have the reserved right to be listened to. That's parliament. And let me give you a clear example. Honorable Tumanjai, as an independent candidate, she was able to convince us beyond reasonable doubt and effected changes in the legislation. And that will stay posterity for generations unborn. To tell you how dynamic the parliament is and to tell you how parliamentary diplomacy works. No matter your figure, your number is not significant here, but your lobbying power, your convincing power. When I speak to you, I speak with the convincing power of convincing you. But you listen also, you have the mindset of trying to analyze and get the fact out of it. So I am using more of the convincing power, but you are also using more of rationalizing what I'm saying and make sense out of it. So it was a serious mistake on the side of the opposition to walk out from the parliament, from the chambers, not contributing in the debate. You could have stayed and make your position clear rather than walking out. To me, it's really not effective.
And Honorable, aside from the issue of the agency which you questioned, I mean, do you have any issue with the provisions in the bill which has now been passed? I mean, in terms of the benefits of a former president, we've seen, I mean, the former president is going to be allocated an office, is going to receive 80% salary of the sitting president, is going to be allocated a protocol officer, and, you know, his health, accommodation, everything to be catered by the government. Aside from the agency, do you have any issue, any reservation regarding the intent of this past bill?
A lot. I have a lot.
Okay.
The spirit of the bill is good. Somebody who served our nation for even 5 years really need to be taken care of after office. But at what length and at what cost? Some of the reservations I have in this bill is the issue of the former president going on leave at a place of his choice.
With his spouse.
Yes, with his spouse, at a place of his choice. It's a law now. If the former president chooses to go to, let's say, Russia or India,
Mongolia,
and take the most expensive hotel there, taxpayers have no option, they have to pay for it. So I would not have supported that. The way it comes also, like, pay the former president equivalent to the sitting president, is also not a wise thing for me. I would have preferred 40% of the sitting presidents rather than 100%. But now, as it is 80%.
Because it was amended.
Yes, amended to 80%. I would have also preferred that to be lesser. But this is a man who has served us for 5 years or 10 years. This person has at least should be able to have a home or two, should be able to have some savings, because all the years you serve as president, the state is taking care of you. And you should also think of your exit. Also, if in the event the person doesn't have a house, they said he should be given a house, fully furnished to the level of the cabinet. I cannot understand a sitting president sit for 5 years. I'm giving only a minimum of 5 years without getting a compound. No. As far as our former presidents are concerned, they all have compounds. And the current president has, in fact, compounds. So, issue of providing a compound for a former president is also something I will look at. And we must also think of scenario. This is a small country with a small economy, and there are possibilities that we can have 2, 3 former presidents at a time. Because so far the 2 former presidents are all young. They're all young presidents. Adama and Yaya, they're all young. So it's possible that we can have two presidents, former presidents, and then they all have to carry the same cost.
Honorable, I saw you nodding in disagreement. Do you agree with Honorable?
No, I
He will never agree. This is the reasons why. These are the reasons why we walked out. Because they will never agree.
I want him to understand that the spirit of the bill is progressive, and which he has acknowledged. And all these things has been mentioning could have been relevant if they chose to stay and engage us in interaction, in debate, healthy conversation. It could have shifted our position.
Never.
Don't say never.
I have, no.
No, please allow me.
I have given you. Land.
Yes, proceed. It could have been better if anyone who advises them to do this thing is a very big mistake. They did blunders in that move. They could have stayed. This reservation has been saying he has issue with the leave. Bring your justification. He has issues with the salary. After present, he said 40%. Someone proposed even 50% in the floor of the House. Another person proposed 75%. So what I did is that I look at best practice. I look at legislation also within the continent. Like in Zambia, the Zambian former president is given 80% emolument after office of the current president. So we look at those things and try to align best practice. That okay, this is not about President Adam Barrow. This is about the first citizen of the country having served your nation. Try to look at the prayers of the object and reason of the bill. You'll understand the importance of this legislation. So his reservations that he's mentioning here, unfortunately, this could have been addressed at the floor of the chambers rather than here. And I also have...
Honorable, if you allow him to comment, then I'll bring in Mar here.
Yes.
Honorable, quickly.
You know, at the start of the conversation, I stated here very clearly. I said 4 bills were before us as with a state of letter of certificate of urgency. We tested the first 2. We voted against the urgency. We remained seated. We debated it. We remained seated. We went to the Committee of Whole House to see whether we can effect changes. Not a single change. His side, the NPP side, plus their allies and the nominated members, some independent, connived every clause that we propose. They will vehemently oppose and then it will put to vote. Now, if he's telling me that if I had stayed, I should be able to convince them. How many times have I tried to convince them and they refuse?
But someone convinced us.
And secondly, I'm telling him that it is nobody has advised us. And it is not a blunder. We've taken the right step, and since we have boycotted this sitting, not a single person have called me personally to say, well, Honorable, you did this, but I don't agree with you in my constituency. And the same applies to all of us who walked out. So nobody advised us. We use our consent.
You've not been called
because you
really
are always on the defense. You refuse to accept our
You've not been called doesn't mean that they appreciate it.
So why would we stay? It's not a yardstick. Terrible thing.
It's not a yardstick. You've not been called by electorate. Doesn't mean
it is a yardstick.
No,
it is a yardstick. In other words, in fact, we are praised for that.
No, you're not praised for that.
Of course.
Allow me to bring in Mar here. Mar, you are far from we'll talk about
sorry. Before you come.
Yes.
Secondly, the 4 bills that he's talking about. The 4 bill, actually, if you understood, in fact, it was 6 bill initially. We have to talk to the Minister of Justice to remove 2 bill because those ones are so technical that you need time to go through. Look at the amendments. The President's bill is just 1-page amendment because note that it's not a new bill entirely. It's just trying to tidy up and upgrade the existing 6 legislation. And also, what he said about cost.
Completely said.
What? No. Look at the clauses. Cross reference. If you look at the bill
why
that
was
he
it not
introduced,
amended?
The cost issue he's talking about. In fact, government has saved government saved more resources here now than of course.
Okay, now Mar, I want to come in here. I mean, you are more engaged in fiscal transparency and all those things. Mar, what's your take? You are far from both MPs.
This money you are going to spend on former president.
The fiscal part, law drafting is political.
Yes.
Right? And that's why on the legal, critical legal stories, it's always stated that we need to challenge legal norms because politicians establish these regulations and laws to actually benefit them for a period of time. So we have to really correct on those. So I really believe that if the opposition did parliamentary diplomacy, right?
Exactly.
Because there was no point working out. If you work out, the bill could have been passed the way it was presented, and the opposition and the public would not have been happy with the way the bill was actually tabled.
Exactly.
So for me, I guess if that also continues, if that attitude also continued at the National Assembly, what's going to happen? Voting is going to be on party lines and party interests.
Which is on that.
Which is very challenging.
Nice.
Because
I cannot agree.
No.
Allow me, please. Allow me to finish, and then you comment, Honorable, please. Yeah, Mark, continue.
What I'm trying to put here is, parliamentary is very, very critical and a funny political institution, if I can put it that way. In as much as they are there representing the people, they're also representing an interest of a select group, which is a political party, which is inevitable. So what I'm saying here, sometimes certain laws, right, when they come in, you have to look at your weakness. Your weakness here is you don't have the majority in parliament. How do you work towards bringing in the independent members? Right, and the ruling party, certain individuals they are there that are really, progressive. They will not vote onto party lines. So if you're able to do strategic and successful lobbying, you'll be able to convince them, because it's all about lobbying and getting your opposition to side with you. Because at the end of the day, what's going to happen is, at some point, the opposition might want to introduce a bill, and they will need the ruling party to support them on that particular bill. So I think that will have been the approach that the opposition, not the opposition, but those that work out will have actually employed.
Now, of course, the opposition.
So now, the other thing, I also really believe that there was need to amend the 2006 former President's Act, because if you look at Section 4 of that bill, is giving an emolument of $50,000 to a president. Right, so let's forget about Adama Barrow. Let's look at a former president.
But
right,
you are the two people who are mentioning Adama Barrow.
No,
you are saying former president. Forget about Adama Barrow. We are not talking about Barrow here.
Yeah, we expect this bill to be here for the longest time. Right. So now, let's look at the office of the president, and that individual is a public figure.
Yeah.
No one else prays for a president to be on the street begging after serving gracefully and with morally, and also not actually, in fact, coming to they're supposed to do that, but if they have not even satisfied the needs of the people, but they have served their mandate in a way that they have not respected the constitution, they have not been found guilty of misconduct while in office, they deserve to be given that protection and that emolument. And if you look at the region, right, in Ghana, they have similar provisions.
Legislations.
If you look at Nigeria, they have similar provisions. The variance in terms of the payment could be different. In Zambia as well, they have similar.
The same thing.
Yes.
So it is not, Gambia is not unique to this issue. I think maybe.
Let me pick it from there.
Come
in here. In terms of clarity, the issue of the former president here, Yahya Jammeh, it's not really clear.
Well, let me come in.
It is clear.
Whether he can.
But before you go into that,
yes.
let me take.
Former presidents.
But then one thing that the parliament has done, they've introduced a new clause,
Progressive clause.
a progressive clause for
For that matter.
right? So
Yes.
what they have stated is that this pension and allowances is only going to be benefiting a president that is not in contradiction with the constitution in terms of misconduct. Jammeh is not within those baskets, right? Jammeh is in conflict with the law, as in he has committed gross human rights violations. He's also found guilty of corruption, misappropriating public wealth. So Jammeh has a legal battle on his head that is yet to be concluded. In fact, this is also one of the things that I mentioned in my
Research.
the research. Maybe I should just post that I actually published. And I stated in terms of the interpretation that they should replace it with former president means a person who has held the office of president of the Republic of the Gambia under the constitution, and he or she is free from any criminal or corruption charges after serving office. Right? With that, you're making sure that anyone that gets into office, for you to have a better life after office, you need to make sure, right, you serve and serve well without breaching the constitution.
Yeah, let me.
No, I think I should come. No, I should come. No, I should be the one to come. No. You have to wait. Wait, no, just wait.
I just want to add value.
No, I will forget. I will forget. I'm an old man. I will forget.
Yes, you can come in, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. You know, when Mars was doing this intervention, I want this to be very clear. Personally, I said the spirit is good. I'm not against the spirit. I have said that clearly.
Why the walkout?
I have said it clear. The walkout is the NPP camp. Adamant. They will not accept anything. I have given you examples where they refused. I can give you one example. What?
You cannot preempt that.
Not preempt. This is something that has happened.
You have preempted.
And what?
You have
and
preempted.
secondly, your argument to say that we should be lobbying.
Of course.
That is not this parliament, and that is not this party.
No.
This man sitting here and his gun? No. You can't lobby them.
Please.
They are so partisan.
No.
They are so partisan. Anything you bring, they will gang together and say no. If they had really taken some of the positive things we have put in the previous two bills, we will stay. But there's no point, even if you have stayed, if I propose 40%, they will gang together and vote against it.
Because
so they are not a camp to rely on.
You see,
you cannot lobby these people. They're so partisan.
You cannot even justify 40%. My friend, that's very irrational as a human being. Someone that serve your country.
What is 40% of the current president's allowance?
Listen to me. Listen to me.
No, before you look, he should underline his words. His words should be very gentle.
Okay.
You have used like recently, irrational. You have also used another word, offensive. I didn't say anything.
No,
you have to mark your words.
Okay.
Exactly.
Look,
Yes,
we are all mature people. Speak with points.
You see, how can someone be saying, yes, you have reserve right to say I'm proposing 40%, but what did you peg it on? What analysis have you done? What parameters have you taken into consideration to arrive at that? Do not look at the person occupying the office. It's beyond that. It's when we begin to put our lenses, not seeing this bill as an barrow, but this is addressing a former president. But once you are becoming so partisan, the person in power is not my party man. So as we do anything, at advantage. That is why I propose. Wait.
Because I propose this on Adam Barrow. This bill is not Adam Barrow's bill.
Wait, allow me.
But he cannot put words in my mouth. This bill is former president's bill. Adam Barrow's bill. Well, maybe the true caller is coming now. Maybe that's your true caller now. This bill is something is behind it. Because you keep saying this is not Adam Barrow's bill. It's not.
Kindly allow him to land
exactly.
So you can allow viewers to understand what we're taking about.
If we continue to engage in this kind of discussion, we're not helping our viewers to understand the reason why we're here.
But
I'm coming.
Yes,
we are here to explain and dissect and justify our position why this bill is needed. One, I want to pick from where Matt stops. Issue of President Jammeh. My personal opinion is that the minister should not even answer personal questions because that is not healthy. President Jammeh, hate him or like him, is a former president. And as far as this bill is concerned, former president is a former president and is entitled to. When I don't know whether he will exhaust all legal rights. Issue of 77 said that gross misconduct. For instance, you are in office now. You are being impeached by corruption or you are being impeached by something. Then you are not entitled to.
Or you die in office.
Gross misconduct. I mean, gross misconduct doesn't mean you die in office.
No, what I mean, and also if you die in office.
No, I'm coming.
Or you die before the end of your
I'm coming. That gross misconduct is about your unconstitutional behaviors that you do in office that led to your removal. Then you are having issue with the law that gross misconduct. You are not entitled to this. That is why we said any president that come to benefit this law, you must be a constitutional elected president, which means that it's not through coup d'etat, but you must come through a constitutional means of coming to the government.
What if we die in office?
Okay, there was a lacuna there. That was why I made a proposal. Now, there's an instance whereby you can serve as a president 1 year down the line, like Yaradua in Nigeria. He died in office. What do you have for them? That is why I made a proposal. In the case of a sitting president that dies in office, he or she shall be entitled to 12-month gratuity, a lump sum one pay, to be paid to his spouse, to give them a ground footing. It's just like the reverse is the case. When a president finishes his term, he or she is entitled to 12-month gratuity to be paid to him, to give him a safe landing. But in case if he dies in office, that money only kicks in to his family, not him. But if he is alive, he receives that money. So the issue of gross misconduct is not about Jammeh, but anybody who has been removed from office based on those grounds, you would not benefit from this. And anybody who comes through a coup d'etat and become president 1 or 2 months and you leave, you cannot enter to this one. But Jammeh is a former president, is captured under this bill. When will he kick in? I don't know. But anytime he has exhausted all the issues against him, it will kick in.
But the state has found Jammeh guilty of gross human rights violations. The state has found Jammeh guilty of corruption. There are commissions that are established here. They've investigated.
No, I mean this.
No, what I mean,
misconduct in Constitution 67 talks about if you are removed from office.
I know
based
Section 67 of the Constitution talking about the
misconduct,
requirements in impeaching
exactly.
Right? But that's the reason why I was saying in the interpretation of what our president means, right? For them to put a clause to prevent a former president that is guilty of human rights violations and corruption, so that that particular president will not benefit from this particular benefit. It's not. So Jammeh, whether he is a former president or not, he is a former president. Whether he's entitled to this entitlement and emoluments, no, because Jammeh has already rigged the country. He has killed our sons and daughters and daughters, and he has weakened our democratic institutions and our financial institutions as well, cripple our economy. Why would we have to pay that particular person for that gross misconduct while he was serving office? No. I just want to make it clear that the government of the Gambia and the parliament have to make sure that Jammeh is axed from receiving these benefits, right? The only thing that Jammeh deserves is to be in jail because he hasn't, in fact, come out to give an apology. He's been invited to testify. I don't want to get into that, but we already know what Jammeh has done. So now, the other thing that I have in terms of reservation on this bill, right, is I guess the Section 6, right, 1 and 2, where it says that the government will actually furnish the house of the president if he or she so desires to live in his house, and to quote, for his or her comfort.
Yes.
And I stated that this is really vague, and it is not. It might be something else that is not affordable to the state, because what I determine as a former president to be my comfort might not be affordable by the state, right? So what the state should have done in this particular provision is to make sure that the parliament provides what is reasonable in furnishing the house of the president, but not to his or her personal comfort, as in how he or she wanted it to be. So today, if I have my own house and there are so many things that I wanted to renovate, if I wanted to actually rebuild it and do anything that happens, the law is actually really silent on that. So what is going to be the interpretation of that?
Let me because we're running out of time.
Yeah, it's just this place to help
just
man.
quickly, and bring
quickly. Is it this issue of accommodation you're talking about?
Former president.
Let me just.
The majority is just want to sugarcoat this.
It's not
issue
sugarcoating.
of no, just listen to me.
I want to finish this.
No, just listen to me. You are just sugarcoating the issue of the former president. But the minister has made it very clear in the parliament. The minister said he's a wanted person. He cannot benefit until he resolved.
That is what I'm saying.
That's what the minister said.
Yeah, he said he's a wanted man.
Yeah, and he cannot speak for the minister.
Local and international.
Therefore, if he is telling us that Jammeh can benefit here and there, that's just trying to maybe try to get the other side on his side. No, that's all. And that is how. I want to believe that's why he got some of them. That is why one of the NAMs in Fonyi said he regretted participating in the debates.
Let me
because there was funny things that has happened.
When I said that, what is certain, Jammeh is a former president.
Yes.
And I'm coming under this bill, hate him or like him, is a former president. You see, there are two sections in the society. There are some that does not want to hear about good thing about Jammeh. They are wrong. There are some people also who also don't want to hear a bad thing about Jammeh. They are wrong. Jammeh might have his own odds and own wrongdoing. He will be liable for those ones. Nobody is stopping him. There is no political brinkmanship that can save him from those ones. What I'm telling you is that it is very premature to say that he should not benefit from this.
That's what the Justice Minister said.
No, the Justice Minister said that
Until the conflict is
he
resolved.
said that until he exhausts all legal trials, then he cannot benefit from this. That's why I said, how about in an instance whereby he has exhausted all the legal ramification and he could benefit from it? Let me come to this issue of comfort here. Quickly.
No, but just quickly. I think I should ask Mark one thing. What is Mark's take on the leave?
I would
Okay, just this one is for audience to understand.
Yeah, exactly, because the time is up. I mean,
Please,
I would suggest next week we will come back here and continue this discussion.
Just this one.
Let me
help Mark here. Yes. Okay, Mark said that.
20 seconds.
Yes, Mark said that the issue, he has issue with the residents. And
the comfort.
Yeah. Let me tell you, it's not, read the entire clause. Say, where a former president decides to reside in his or her own residence, government shall maintain his or her residence and provide telephone, internet, and other facility.
To his or her comfort.
No, wait.
To his or her comfort. I want you to read it completely, not to
yes,
part.
to his or her comfort. They are providing this thing to comfort him.
Well, it's quite interesting. Yes,
no,
I understand.
They are trying to.
Yes,
to his or her comfort.
Gentlemen, I understand
the telephone, the internet, and other facilities
exactly.
to comfort him.
Honorable. I understand.
Yes.
It's quite interesting. I will suggest we come back next week.
Yeah.
And then we continue this discussion.
It's very
I want to just get into the numbers.
Yes, I'm afraid his time is up. I mean, because unfortunately today, I mean, we don't start the program on time. But then next week, I promise we'll come back here and continue this conversation because it's quite interesting. We have a lot to cover in terms of the vice president and all those things. Why are they not covered in this thing? We will discuss that next week. Well, viewers, with that, we bring an end to this week's edition of your State of Affairs program. Do join us next week. Like I said, my guest this week, I had Honorable Madisise of Serekunda, Mariang, Gambia participants, and Honorable Bilaji Tungara, Majority Leader. Do join us next week. Until then, thank you so much for watching this program and have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.